Hi, welcome to the first podcast of In the Clubhouse. I'm your host, Bob Busser. For 45 years, I've been a ballpark and arena historian, and during that time, I've met a lot of ball players, athletes, musicians, front office people, and they all have stories to tell. And today is no exception. My first guest is going to be former Major League Umpire Dale Scott. For 30 years, Dale was behind the plate and on the field, and he has stories to tell. He's also written a book called The Umpire is Out, Calling the Game and Living My True Life. And with that, I bring you Dale Scott. Dale, welcome to In the Clubhouse.
Well, thank you, Bob, and I am honored to be your first guest on this podcast. Usually the umpires are down the list, but apparently you're hitting the head, and so you took an umpire first. So I love that.
Well, you saw that fall I took last year,
yes.
So that might have been something to do with it.
Well, when I heard about that, I thought, man, I think I'll be the first guest on this podcast.
And you didn't throw me out of the dugout in Anaheim in '77 when I was sitting there with the Red Sox. That was good. I appreciate that.
There you go. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, I'm glad to have you, Dale. You're a great guest. Let's talk about Billy Beane and your introduction to him and him coming out and its effect with you.
Well, Billy, he's been great. I mean, kudos to Major League Baseball. Kudos to Bud Selig when they hired Billy in 2014, I believe, as the ambassador of inclusion. He's got a different title now, but it's the same type of thing. It was the one of the major sports publicly saying, we're so dedicated to having inclusion of everyone in baseball that we're hiring a guy specifically just for that. Billy had a playing career. It was cut short because he had lost a partner to HIV. He was totally in the closet. He just didn't feel that he could come out, at that time in the 90s, and so he quit playing when he had years left in his career if he had stayed playing. So his story is very, very compelling and interesting and a lot of things. But when baseball hired him into that position, and he's doing an unbelievably good job, it was really a statement by one of the major sports saying, we don't just talk the talk, we're going to walk the walk. We inclusion is something that we truly believe in. Ironically, Major League Baseball has not had an active out player, where football has, basketball has, the NBA, soccer. So that's lacking. I'm kind of surprised by that, only because of the other sports and just those types of things, but it'll come. But Billy is a good friend. He wrote the foreword for my book. I considered no one else. Billy was the guy when I finally figured I was going to write a book, and I'm glad I did. And like you said, just reading his foreword of my book before you get into the book, his story is really unbelievable. And it's you just can't believe how things have changed for the better since the 90s, what he was talking about, since the 80s when I was coming up through the ranks in the minor leagues and the big leagues. So I'm thrilled to have Billy in my book, and he's done a great job.
It's a great read. I just started reading it, and the book is, if you get this book and it's available at Amazon, you're not going to be able to put it down because it starts off with I'm not even going to give it away. You just have to read the first paragraph of the first chapter, and anybody who's played baseball will know exactly what that's about.
Yeah, not just played baseball, any man.
Exactly.
Exactly what that's all about.
Yes, playing baseball, the first thing you wanted to make sure, especially if you were in the infield or behind the plate or on the mound, is my cup on it.
Yeah, and I've had those situations, as I explain in the book, that if I had been cupless, well, let's just put it this way, Bob, you wouldn't be talking to me right now, okay? And I wouldn't sound like this.
Strike three. Yeah.
Hey, here comes that helium umpire.
Exactly. Dale's talking with the helium again. Now, you knew at an early age that you were a little different, and at 19, you admitted, "I'm gay." How did your parents react?
Well, I was gay all my life. I mean, as I look back, but for, when you're young, preteen, and so you don't put a label on it. It's just, that's just, you have your thoughts and feelings or whatever, and it's just the way it is. But I finally figured everything out when I was 19. I thought I was by for about 20 minutes, and that didn't last long. But I just one day I just said, look in the mirror. I say, oh, I get it. You're gay, dude. You're gay. Okay, so now what are you going to do about it? And one of the things that I told myself that I was, I'll be damned if I'm going to look in the mirror every day of my life and lie to myself about something that I truly know. And I'm certainly not going to bring in somebody into my life, a female, for the sole purpose as a beard, basically, and have a relationship that wasn't true. I just wasn't going to do that either. I understood that, I may not lie to myself, but I may have to lie to other people or deceive or whatever, because of, society and everything. But it was really quite frankly, a really easy coming out for me personally. I know it's tough for a lot of people. I'm not saying that mine is typical, but for me, it really was. My parents, my younger brother, he knew. I talked to him, and a few years later, I was about 22, 23. My mom, my parents are still alive. God bless them. They're 91 and 88. But my mom and I had a great relationship, and we were talking, just her and I talking one day, and she don't even know what we were talking about, but she said something to the fact of, well, I know, I know you, Dale, and what I know all about you. And I said, really, Mom, you know all about me? Well, tell me something about me that you know. Bob, I thought for sure she's going to say, I know you smoke pot, right? And she said, well, I know your sexual preference is men. I didn't see that coming. And so I kind of paused and I said, well, what makes you say that? And she said, well, I can put, 2 and 2 together. And so we sat and talked, and she had a lot of questions and stuff, but that was, how did my parents react? Well, my mom told me, basically. So, and I didn't tell my dad for a few years later for various reasons. I finally did write a letter to him. I contemplated calling him, or we didn't live in this, we were about 3 hours apart. So I did, maybe do it in person. Actually, writing a letter was actually kind of, at first I thought maybe it was a chicken way out, but actually it was a good thing from the standpoint that he could read that. He didn't have to react. I wasn't standing right there to have him have to react in some way or whatever. He could react however he reacted. He could reread it. He can think about it, and it's not this immediate reaction that you would have to have. But my dad, kind of old school. There's 100 things that said Dale was gay, but Dale did take a girl to the prom. So I'm pretty sure he's not, but this made it official. And, it took him a few days to just go through his emotions and his thoughts and whatever. But he was, and I write about it in the book, but he was great. And so my family's been great. My Mike's family has been unbelievable. So I've been very, very lucky.
That is great, because I think even at a young age, I knew it doesn't matter if somebody's gay, straight, black, or white. We're all the same. 24/7, we're all the same. We all walk the same. We put our pants on the same way. Well, most of us do anyways. But
we have the same problems. I mean, high gas prices, or families trying to get make ends meet or whatever. I mean, just because you're gay doesn't put you people focus, all I think about is the sexual part of this. We're human. We're people, we do, I go to football games. I go to movies. I have road rage. I'm just like everyone else. Right. So, it's too bad that some people, not, I shouldn't say everybody, but some people just can't get past that kind of thing.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. You were a gay umpire, and when you came out, I know it was a big relief for you, and it was like you were free. And tell the story about the player that came up to you when you first came out.
That was his words. I came out in December of 2014. So baseball games were, a few months away. My first spring training game that year was Cincinnati and Cleveland, and Marlon Byrd played for the Reds. He had a long time. outfielder for several clubs. And so first couple innings, I was at first base. Well, and then I switched, in spring training, you switch around on the bases. So I went to third. Well, the Reds dugout was on the third base side. So Marlon's coming in after the inning's over from left field. And he sees me and he goes, Dale, and like I said, I've known Marlon a long time. I say, hey, Marlon. And he goes, Dale. And he comes, he gives me this huge bear hug. Now, little sidebar here. That's not normally how you greet umpires on the field, is with a bear hug. And it kind of surprised me, right? But as he's doing that, he's saying, Dale, I'm so proud of you. You're free, man. You're free. And I said, thanks, Marlon. I really appreciate that. And I did. I mean, it was genuine, Later that game, Joey Votto of the Reds, his day was over. So he was heading to the clubhouse out in the outfield. So he went, beelined right to me, shook my hand and said, congratulations. I'm really proud of you. That was two players on the very first spring training game of the 2015 season. The rest of the year, I had one other player, one base coach, and one trainer, say something, and was, congratulations, that kind of stuff. That was it. And, I wasn't sure what the reaction would be once baseball started when I came out in December, but, so many reporters and the questions I got were, what do you think the reactions will be from on-field personnel and that kind of stuff. And I said, I think really, to be honest with you, I think it's going to be business as usual. I think they're more concerned about me getting pitches and plays right than, what I do after the game. So, and that's exactly, the way it was. And that's the way it should be. And I want to say too, Bob, that at this point, Major League Baseball, the people that hired me, the people that signed my checks, the people that, I work for, they knew I was gay. All the umpires that I worked with, the staff, they knew I was gay. So this was news to, the media, the fans, the teams. But, another thing I said in those interviews, I said, luckily, Major League Baseball has evaluated me on my performance and my work on the field, and not by my personal life. And again, the way it should be. And obviously baseball did not have a problem with me. I was a crew chief. I was getting postseason assignments and stuff. If they had a real problem, they could have very easily buried me, never get postseason and whatever. That never came about. So I applaud MLB for the hire of Billy Beane. I applaud them for how they, dealt with all of this. And I was lucky. My coming out was a very positive event. And again, I know that's not everybody has that reality. A lot of times it's not a fun situation at all. So I'm lucky.
How did the first spring training, your first spring training game when you were with your crew, what did they say anything to you or
well, that first spring training game, I was with another, in spring training, you got a lot of AAA guys at work,
right.
They're getting a look. So two of the guys were AAA guys, who I had never met. This is the first game I'd ever met him or I've been on the field with him. And then there was also, I believe it was Ron Culpa, who I knew very well. We'd worked a lot together. But it was funny because, with the young guys, with the AAA guys, they're they don't want to do anything stupid in their mind. They're trying to give a good impression. They're working with veteran guys. They've, known my name forever. And so it was kind of an elephant in the room thing until I brought it up. So I went in the locker room, met the guys and stuff. And I think I said some funny remark about, but broke the ice. That just said, hey, listen, guys, the elephant has now left the room. We can all just have some fun and laugh. And they, it was fine, but you can tell at first because they don't, they know what's going on, but they don't want to, they don't want to say anything wrong, or they're kind of like, they're just afraid that they might do something that's offensive to me or whatever. And so we got rid of that really quick.
Well, the thing is, too, you're trying to umpire a game, and in your sexuality is your own business. And you got some guy out there throwing 95 plus, and you're worried about getting a strike call, not whether your, dinner plans are for the evening.
Yeah, exactly. And
the job.
You're professionals. And the players are professionals. We're professionals. We have a job. Sometimes our jobs conflict. I get that. but you're focused on what you're supposed to be doing is what the main thing is. And but something that was really strange though that I didn't anticipate, Bob, was when I at the stadium there in Goodyear, our locker room was like dead center field. So when we walk onto the field, we walk all the way from center field all the way to the plate. So it's a long walk. And when we started walking onto the field as going towards the plate, all of a sudden it hit me that this was the first time that I was in uniform on the field to work a game that I had no more shields up. My life had been opened up. I mean, anybody in the stands could have said, I wonder who that umpire is, number 5, Dale. Oh, he's gay. It was, I felt this freedom. I felt this, like I was liberated, something I never anticipated when I came out a few months earlier. I just didn't, but it was a good feel. It wasn't a bad feel. It was a good feel. It was like, you know what, this is me now. I am now for years I've been out here doing my job and doing whatever, but I always had that little shield, my little protective shield, that I fiercely defended that, nobody would find out about. Now I was an open book, and here I was, and it was such a cool feeling. Like I've never been to jail, but it's like I got out of jail.
You got the get out of jail card free on Monopoly, right?
Exactly. So that was a cool moment, one that was not anticipated.
Wow. And like you said, you were pretty much accepted, and the best thing about it, what you said, is it was business as usual right off. Lasorda will come out and scream at you that you missed a call, and it was like, well, we're back to square one.
Exactly.
Nothing's changed. And
it's funny. I had a ton of emails and correspondence from people all over the world when I came out. This one I loved. It was from this woman. She said, I'm a 27-year season ticket holder for the Yankees. I read your story. I am so happy and proud of you. Congratulations. I hope you and Mike have a wonderful, just a great first paragraph, right? Second paragraph. However, as a longtime Yankee fan, season ticket holder, I can't for the life of me understand how you can make some of those calls against the Yankees. And I just started laughing. I said, this is perfect. This is perfect. This is a person that on the social side and what I did, she was thrilled. She was congratulatory. She that makes the world better, in her opinion. But she also knows that I'm an umpire, and by God, you're calling stuff against the Yankees, and I don't understand it. I mean, it just, I didn't want to be the gay umpire. I wanted to be the umpire that, oh, by the way, he's gay, and
exactly.
And that letter personified that. I love that letter.
Now let's talk about the minors, because coming up as an umpire, you don't start at Yankee Stadium. You start in Podunk, Iowa, or as like you said before, we've been talking the Texas League, and mileage in between Texas League cities ain't really close. It's not like the old Sally League or anything like that, where you're all in North Carolina or Virginia. You're all over. In Texas is it takes you 3 days to cross from one end of Texas to the other.
Right. And when I was there, there were 8 teams. 4 were in Texas. The others were the Tulsa, Oklahoma, Little Rock, Arkansas, Shreveport, Louisiana, and Jackson, Mississippi, which from Jackson to El Paso is over 1,000 miles. Hello. Here's the thing in the minor leagues, and it's changed a little bit now. There's they're unionized. They have their own hotel rooms now. They've got benefits and stuff. When I was there, you shared a room with your partner. AA now is a 3-man. When I was there, it was just 2-man. But my partner and I, it was not unusual to work a game, on a Thursday night. The game's over. You shower. You get in the car around 11 o'clock, and you have 600 miles to go to the next park or next city with a game on Friday night. So you drive all night. You get into the next city, 8, 9 in the morning, whatever time it is. A lot of times you're hitting the morning traffic. Is the last thing you want to do is be stop and go or something. When you've been up all night, you get to the hotel praying that the room's ready, because check-in time isn't until the afternoon, and you're at the mercy. You know, if they were sold out the night before, you're probably screwed. Finally get your room. You crash big time. You get up, you have a 7:00 game. You want to get there at 6. You get up at about 4:30, shower, on the way to the ballpark. You go through a drive through, you get a couple burgers, you're scarfing those down. You get to the ballpark, and next thing you know, you're on the field, and by God, do not miss a pitch. after the last 24 hours you just had, I'll be damned if you miss a pitch. Again, you're young, you're happy to be there. You do that so much easier at that stage in your life. But that was not unheard of, especially in the Texas League with the mileage that you'd have to go between cities. So you're definitely paying your dues, as they say. And the only reason you're in the minor leagues is the only reason you're in A ball is to get to AA, and the only reason you're in AA is to get to AAA, and the only reason you're in AAA is to get to the big leagues. It's you're not there to be a lifelong minor league umpire, because you're not making any money. You're only paid during the season, and after a while you get tired of rooming with people. But again, some of my best memories and most fun that I ever had was in the minor leagues, and the 2 winners I was in the Dominican. So they're great memories and stuff. I just know the Dale of 2022 could no way could the Dale of 2022 do that what the Dale did in 1983.
And you know where every Whataburger is in Texas, right?
Yes, I
Pretty
do.
much.
White Castle, not so much in Texas, but in other leagues.
And Dairy Queen.
They're great at 2:30 in the morning. Of course,
exactly.
blank on a Ritz is good at 2:30 in the morning. So what? Who cares?
What are you saying, Dale? You didn't get the spreads like they have in the major league clubhouses now in the minor leagues?
Oh no, you got a spread.
Butter and jelly.
You had warm beers and cold hot dogs. Is basically what was your spread. Yeah, it's so much different. I can't even tell you how different it is.
I know. I was in Baltimore, and I had a media pass, and I went up to the press box, and the press box food was better than anything you get down there. They had crab cakes. I'm thinking, what the hell is this?
Right. I
was expecting hot dogs or something. Whatever you want. You want a crab omelet? We'll make it for you. I'm not leaving.
Yeah, I'm not even with the press. I'm just hungry.
Exactly. I'm just a photographer, man. But speaking of ballparks, minor league ballparks are so much different than the major leagues. Like you said before, the clubhouses are smaller, some are closets. Then you get to the major leagues, and it's like you walked into Macy's from shopping at Kmart. You know what I mean? And but I think the minor leagues teaches you a lot about yourself and the game.
Oh, no doubt. I mean, you and with the players too. I mean, the players coming out of college or whatever, they, one of the first things is they always call in college, say, hey Blue, they call us Blue. Not in professional baseball. My name's Dale. I'm not Blue. Call me Dale. You'll call me a lot of things before the season's out, but call me Dale. That's just one of many. They learn a lot of guys learn how to argue, or maybe they learn what they can't do in an argument, that type of thing. And umpires are learning too. Well, there were situations I had in the minor leagues that I effectively threw a lot of gas onto a fire. And so after the game was over, I'd go in the locker room and go, note to self, we're not going to handle situations like that, like you just did today. That didn't work well. Because you're learning, just like players or whatever, you're learning as you move up, hopefully move up in the ranks. But one of the reasons they send you to the Dominican, the AAA, if you're a real prospect in AAA, they'll send you to winter ball. There's a Puerto Rico and the Dominican. It used to have Venezuela and Colombia, maybe not so much now. But one reason is because you're working baseball year round. You just, to become a good ball strike umpire, it's just repetition. Just seeing pitches. When I was in the Dominican, two winners, I call them tours of duty, 2 tours of duty in the Dominican. I would have 45 plate games in a 60 game schedule. You work the plate 3 games to every 1 game on the bases. 45 plate games in 60 games. If I'm in the big leagues for a full season, I may have I may have 30 play jobs, or whatever during the course of the season. So you're working in less in half the time. You're working more play jobs. Why? Again, repetition. You learn stuff. But the other thing that happens in the Dominican is every other game you're with 3 Dominican umpires working the plate, and there was a few pretty solid Dominican umpires. And there were the few that were not. And so you kind of had a crapshoot there. Some of them spoke English. Some of them had broken English. A few did at all. But you would see things on the field and things off the field too, but that would happen that probably would never happen in a big league game. But you had to, in real time, you had to deal with it. You had to, however situate whatever. Give you a quick example. Terry Collins was a manager, one of the American managers that was working in the Dominican. I was at first base, had a American, Mike Felt was the plate umpire, and 2 Dominicans on second and third. There was a double play ball that the runner from first, I mean, took out the infielder, illegal slide, the whole bit. And the ball drops 7, and the Dominican umpire, he's safe. He's got nothing. He's got no interference, nothing, right? And I'm at first base, I'm watching that because I'm waiting for a throw. And of course, I see that. I'm like, ooh, my. Well, here comes Collins out. I'm like, gee, Dale, that's, of course, immediately he comes to me. It's not Dale, that's interference. I said, Terry, and I knew it was, but I said, just hold on. So I go to the second base umpire. I said, did you good look at the play? Yeah. Oh, yeah. He spoke very Pedro Busi. Pedro was his name. I said, did you? Yeah, I saw broken English. I said, you saw anything unusual? No. I said, did the runner, was the slide legal? And nope, everything was good. Everything's legal. And I said, Terry, we got nothing. He goes, he goes, why don't you change it? I said, here's why, Terry. I'm going to tell you right now. If I change his call, then I'm going to have to change that guy's call over here, and I'm going to have to change one over here and over here. And why do we even have umpires out here? I might as well just, be out here and call every base. I said, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to get into the precedent of calling everything. Do I think it was interference? Yeah, I didn't come out and say it, but I just said, we know what happened here, but I'm not going to start changing calls. He goes, only in the Dominican, Dale, only in the Dominican. And I go, only in the Dominican, Terry, but again, it's stuff that, you just had to think on your feet in real time to deal with situations. And I had a ton more. And you just, again, a lot of the stuff that you would never probably ever have to have or deal with in the big leagues in the States, but it made you a better umpire because it made you think outside the box. Sometimes it made you think through of what you're doing out there. And so it not only did you get a repetition of calling pitches, which you certainly need, but it also gave you the chance to blossom and sometimes be very creative as an umpire. And off the field, you learned about life, because I had never seen poverty ever like I saw on that island, and it was a life lesson both on and off the field.
Worse than Detroit?
I didn't say that.
I've been in some neighborhoods in Detroit, and you're just like, geez, get me out of here. I'm not coming here at night.
Yeah, I mean that's true. But I don't want to sound sappy, but it really did, taking just baseball away, it really did. I grew as a person. I grew my character, as a human being, just with all the things that I saw and experienced that had nothing to do with baseball down there. It was really when I went to the second year, I'd already had a year in, so I knew what was coming up, and I was a little depressed because oh my God, another year in Dominican, I can't take this. But I snapped out of it eventually. But I am so glad that I did go. I'm so glad that I had that experience.
That brings me to probably my last question, because I know you've got to go. The robo ump behind home plate calling balls and strikes. It's people don't understand how quick a ball is moving and how most of the time you guys are right. They can't discern a fastball from a slider, and you've got a guy out there throwing 95 plus with movement, and you've got a half a second to decide whether it's a strike or ball, because you're looking over the catcher too, and he's kind of blocking your view.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of things happening. I mean, you have a strike zone that's 3-dimensional. You have a rule by definition. A strike is any pitch that goes over any part of the plate within the high-low of the hitter. You have those high-low lines that change every hitter of different heights, but can change every pitch. The way the rule's written, it's the strike zone when the hitter is in position about to the ball's in the strike zone area or whatever, the plate area. I'm paraphrasing, but the point is, if a hitter is squared to bunt and takes a pitch, or if he is up normally and takes a pitch, that's two different high-low lines. And then you have the facsimile of a strike zone that is on the monitor on people's televisions when they're watching games, which we have no idea what data criteria, alignment. I don't know where they get their information on what they're tracking or how they track it. I also am very curious on how they adjust the high-low line for different hitters, because it seems that Altuve comes up and then Judge. I think those are different high-low lines. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So anyway, you have all that going on. And unfortunately, that on the screen is the reality for the viewer. They don't take into consideration, like I said, how that data is accumulated. They don't take into consideration, all they see is, this is the strike zone that's shown to me. That is my reality. And if it's not in that zone, then this umpire is terrible, basically. And a lot of times, Bob, the pitch on their on-screen thing is just off the line a little bit, and you'll oh my God, he missed. What's he looking at? I mean, that was way outside. Really? Really? That was way outside. That might have been a quarter of an inch outside, according to their data. I'm still not even convinced, that's accurate. But going with their data, that's like a horrible call. And this guy, is terrible. Come on, man. When I talk to groups, and this comes up and replay comes up and that kind of stuff, one of the things I say, obviously it's a game played by humans that is officiated by humans. And, newsflash, humans make mistakes, both mental and physical. But, if you have the bases loaded with one out and there's a bona fide made to order double play ball right to the all-star shortstop, I mean, they're going to be out of the inning. And he boots it and it goes into center field. Do you go after further review? He usually makes that call. We're going to give him a double play. Yeah. Of course we don't do that, right? He made a mistake. He made an error. It happens. Whatever. But if you have an umpire that, I'm not even saying missed the pitch, but according to their on-screen thing, it's just off. This guy is incompetent. He should be sent down. It's obviously, I saw, and I know social media is not reality, but I saw on social media, there was that ump scorecard thing. Again, how they get the criteria, I don't know, but an umpire he missed one pitch. And somebody commented, well, that's not perfect. He's terrible, or, that it figures that, he whatever. I mean, it's just some snide remark, and the pitch he missed was, just a nut cutter, as I say in my book in the first.
Yes.
I just think we've gotten with technology stuff, we've gotten to a point where people are not, they want perfection and then improvement. And I'm just not sure if this game played by humans and hopefully enjoyed by humans isn't turning into some kind of a technological video game or analytic stat game. That why even have players? Just look at this pitcher and this hitter. Yeah, according to this, he would strike out. So there's one out. Okay, next. I mean, yes. Am I being absurd? Of course I am. But I'm trying to make a point that just lighten up, people, a little bit, and take those damn things off the screen. I mean, it's the reality for so many people that you can't get a fair assessment anymore. Bob, you and I are about the same age. Now, I'm not old. I mean to fill in the blank here. But the thing is that, and I agree that before we even had the perimeters of these technology of tracking pitches, that some of us had gotten a little too far wide, on the outside pitch, and some of us weren't allowing anything almost above the belt line. I mean, the strike zone was a little distorted from what it should have been. And I think, and I applaud the tracking systems to get us back into what the strike zone is supposed to be about. And quite frankly, umpires are way more consistent now than they've ever been, because it used to be, oh, I got John Smith. He's a pitcher's umpire. He'll call anything. So swing the bat when this guy's, umpiring. And here's another guy, man, he's really tight. So, I mean, there was this, labeled for each umpire. I think most guys are very much more consistent with the strike zone now, but the key to umpiring is being consistent throughout the whole game. If an umpire is calling a pitch just a little off the plate, a strike every time, both pitchers, I have no problem with that, because now I'm not talking way off the plate. I'm not talking about just one every third pitch off the plate. I'm talking about when you have a consistent thing that might be just a little bit off of the technical strike zone. Play the game, man. Let's play the game. Hitters are good. They can adjust. Pitchers are good. They can adjust. Okay. I may not like this guy's strike zone. I know for me, he's a little bit off the plate, but guess what? I know where it's at. And so I know what I got to do when I come up there, so I just think our expectations have gotten, with technology and stuff, have gotten so, perverted, for lack of a better word, that you expect a game to be umpired with robots and stuff perfectly, yet it's played by players that are not robots, and they're going to make mistakes, mental and physical mistakes, by not just the players but coaches and managers. Just lighten up and let's play. Let's go back to where baseball was kind of fun, right? I mean, I don't know. I could be in the minority on that.
Well, the thing is with managers and players from both sides, if you're consistent, like you said, a little bit outside on either side of the plate, they're okay with that as long as you're calling it for both sides.
Right.
It's that, if it's that close, you better be swinging. I mean, come on. That's
the thing that I kind of want to emphasize, is that you would think it was 7 inches outside,
right?
When you hear the reaction of people, they go, "Oh my God, that's way out!" Really, way out. It was, it was a 93 mile an hour, goofball slider movement thing, and it was maybe, and all of a sudden, this guy is just completely incompetent and should be fired or something. I think our expectations have gotten so disoriented that it's taken away from the enjoyment of the game. It's all a statistical, technological video game to me, or going that way, and I don't think that's what we want.
No,
or maybe we do. I don't know.
I don't. Bring me back to when we were kids in the 60s, and you had Gibson and Drysdale going 9 innings every time out. You had one relief pitcher, the closer. Not 40.
You see some of those stats. A guy pitched 137 pitches or 142 pitches. It's like that's 3 games for some guys.
Well, there was, I remember this when I was a kid. Nolan Ryan, I saw him pitch so many times in Anaheim where I grew up. They asked him, "What's the most pitches you have thrown in a game?" And I think it was like 238 in one game. It's like, and that's a guy anyone else pitched in 4 days later.
I mean, that's a guy that played also a zillion years until he was,
Yeah, but Nolan was a freak of nature. He was. Well, that's true. He was. I mean, he was.
I worked him behind the plate maybe 5 times in my career. I mean, so, and I've seen. The guy was talking about a competitor, and you're right, a freak of nature as far as just physically, especially at that age. And he was intense, but he was also fair. Nolan was fair. He may not have agreed with the ball call that I just called or whatever. And, he may look in, or he may, he's not maybe happy about it, but he was also fair where we have, there were other pitchers that I didn't get the memo, but apparently when it leaves his hand, it's a strike. I didn't know that. I wish someone had informed me that that's how this is how this works, because, they would want pitches that were just like, come on, man, cut me some slack. I know that's a ball. You know that's a ball. I'm not going to call that a strike. I mean, but it's the nature of the. I mean, that when we sign up to be an umpire, this is what happens. I'm not complaining. I'm just stating things that happen on the field.
The one umpire that comes to mind that nobody really messed with was Doug Harvey. He was God. He was nicknamed God. You just didn't argue with him. Big guy, and he demanded respect. But you were one of the umpires that demanded a lot of respect too. You weren't out to show everybody up, but you wanted to make the game fit. It's like you said, you're human, and you're going to make a mistake.
Listen, we're our own worst critics, and
absolutely.
And a lot of the complaints I hear about umpires is that, well, they don't care. They just show up. They don't care who wins or loses. They just show up, and the game's over, they leave, and they have no they have no stake in this or whatever. Well, that's so not true. We don't care who wins or loses, but we absolutely care about our work on the field. And I've walked off after working a plate job where both dugouts were on fire and people were, it was just a I don't know if you can say this, shit show. But I knew through all that turmoil, I had a good game. I had a good game, and I could, being honest with myself. I've also walked off the field when no one said a word, but I knew that I didn't have as good a game as I could have. I missed a pitch here or did something here that maybe wasn't a huge deal because of when it happened in the game or whatever. But, again, you got to be honest with yourself.
Right.
Just because everybody's in turmoil doesn't mean you did a bad job. And just because nobody says anything doesn't mean you did a good job. I mean, be honest with yourself. And that's the only way you can do this job as a sports official in any sport.
Dale, it has been a pleasure talking with you, and I want to do this again soon. You give an insight to the game that a lot of people don't get to know. They don't really know umpires. They just know they're the guy that made the bad call, and I hate his guts, and blah blah blah,
right.
blah blah.
And just to clarify, also, I hate the term bad call. I like to say I made a misinterpreted call. Yeah, I think you misinterpreted what I was. Sure, you thought I was going to call him out, but I called him safe. You misinterpreted what I was going to do. So it's not a bad call. It's just, yeah.
So then the manager will come out and say something about your mother or something like that and address you, and it's the see ya, you're going to the showers.
Yeah, and by the way, my mom's in the stands.
Exactly. Dale, let's do this again soon.
Absolutely,
it's a joy to talk to you again. Go get his book. You will absolutely enjoy this. It's available on Amazon. Dale's got a bunch of signing dates coming up.
Yeah, I've got some stuff. You can go to umpiredalescott.com. I have, the events I've, and book signings and whatever. But Bob, it's been a pleasure. Thanks again. First guest. I am honored, like I said, and thank you for having me. And we'll do this again.
Absolutely. And I'm still pissed at you because you missed a call in 1989.
Oh, that 2-2 pitch in the fourth.
That was the one. Dale, it's been fun. I'm very happy for you coming out, and I think it's great. It's just, everybody is the same. We're all the same.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
We just need to chill out on a lot of shit and just accept people for who they are.
I applaud that. Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks, Dale. We'll talk to you again soon.
You got it. Thank you.
Thank you all for tuning into the first episode of In the Clubhouse. Just remember this: take the road to the left because you never know what you'll find. Bye-bye.